are right because of power theft. Is because of power theft? Yes or no? What if 20 units are right because of power theft? Have you seen right people stealing power? Have you seen people stealing electricity? If you have not seen, then you have missed out something wonderful in case of India. Right? People will basically take two wires, put it on the wire, transmission wire, and directly take electricity into their home. Right? They'll say this is direct benefit transfer, although it is not legal, it is illegal. It is basically stealing electricity. So on one side, the distribution company has supplied 100 units, but out of 100 units, 20 units is loss for them. Can I call it as a part of AT&C losses? Some of the electricity will be lost in the form of heat. Some of the bills they will not be able to collect because people have right moved away, right? People have stopped making payments, etc., etc. So all of these are called as aggregate technical and commercial losses. Point number one. And in case of India, AT&C losses are very high. These are very high, right? Generally, in many of the states, even today, AT&C losses are 18%, 20%, 19%, more than 20%, etc. Second one, there's a huge distress in the distribution companies. How? Point number one, distribution company will purchase electricity from the generation company. Look at the picture and let me know. The DISCOM will purchase electricity from the GENCO, right? And after this, the DISCOM will install infrastructure to supply electricity to the customer. Now, can I say the distribution company has incurred expenditures, has spent money to supply electricity? All of you okay with this picture? Please do let me know. The DISCOM has spent money, right? Has spent certain amount of money to supply electricity. I'll call this as average cost of supply, ACS. Average cost of supply. Let's say hypothetically, the distribution company will spend 5 rupees to supply 1 unit of electricity. But on the other hand, when they will supply, they will collect a bill from you. What if they collect only 4 rupee per unit? Think of it. They will supply electricity and spend 5. They will collect money from you. They'll collect only 4. Can I say it is a loss for the distribution company? Any problem here? It's a loss for the distribution company. So on one side, average cost of supply is incurred, and by supplying electricity, they will collect money from you, bills from you. That is average revenue. If average cost of supply is greater than average revenue realized, can I say this will lead to losses for the distribution companies? Any problem with this? Please do let me know. Any problem? Many of you are asking, sir, why? Why does this happen? Have you seen many state governments announcing free electricity for the people? Free electricity for agriculture sector? Right? Yes or no? And in many cases, state governments through the boards will decide the unit price, will decide unit prices. That is the precise reason the average cost of supply becomes higher than the average revenue realized, and this will lead to losses for the distribution companies. Now have a look at this picture. Please have a look at this picture. Step number 1, generation company will supply electricity to the distribution company, will sell electricity. Step number 2, the distribution company will sell the electricity to the customers, collect the bills. Step number 3, the distribution company will pay the bills to the generation company. Now think of it, if the distribution company incurs losses because of higher ACS, higher AT&C, will they default on the payment to the generation company? Possible or not? Will they delay or default the payment to the generation company? And when they delay or default payment to the generation company, will the generation company default or delay payment to coal supplier? Can this happen? Can the generation company delay or default on the loans that they have taken from the banking sector? Yes, all of this is possible. And all of this generally happens in India. All of these generally happens in India. The distribution companies are incurring huge amount of losses. They are incurring huge amount of losses in India. And it's not new. Historically, they have been incurring losses. And when they incur losses, their payment to the Gencos will either be delayed or they will default. And when they will delay, the Gencos will start delaying their payment to the banks. In many cases, these accounts have been declared as non-performing assets. In many cases, the coal suppliers have stopped supplying coal to the generation companies. All of this will happen because of higher AT&C and higher ACS compared to ARR. Done? Apart from this, what about the fuel availability? What about the fuel availability? You have more than 50% of the production, you get it from coal. We do not have very good quality coal in India. We import coal. We import coal from rest of the world. Second, right, we are promoting solar energy in India. Yes, all of you, I'm pretty sure all of you heard of this. We are promoting renewable energy. 175 gigawatts by 2022. Now this has been more than doubled. 500 gigawatts, right? 500 gigawatts by 2030 now. 500 gigawatts by 2030. So basically, we want to promote solar energy, wind energy. But to promote solar energy, you need solar panels. Do we have sufficient production capacity of panels in India? No, we import this into India. We import solar panels into India. Right? What about nuclear energy? Right? Only part of the total energy comes from the nuclear energy. But even then, what about nuclear power plants? We purchase it from USA. We purchase it from Europe, etc. And what about nuclear material? We import nuclear material also. So there is a lot of issues regarding fuel adequacy in India. Lot of issues regarding fuel adequacy. Now, next problem, cross subsidization. Next problem is cross subsidization. Sir, why cross subsidization is a problem? A farmer is there, will use electricity for irrigation purposes. It is provided free of a cost. Free of cost, right? Free electricity is provided. Please tell me, don't you think farmers will use more electricity, draw out, pull out more water from underground? Yes or no? As a result of this, underground water levels will start falling, depleting very fast. Recharge is happening very slow, but water levels are falling very fast. Right? That's a problem. This happens because you are cross subsidizing. For some, we are providing free of a cost. For others, you are charging very, very high amount. Even in case of many state governments which provide free electricity for all houses, please think of it. Do you think all the houses require free electricity? And some of you will say, no, sir, but they are not providing free. Up to 200 units, up to 300 units they are providing. Whatever the number of units they are providing, irrespective of it. Do you think every household in India requires free electricity? No. Those who have capacity to pay, let them pay. Those who do not have capacity, target them, provide it to them. Right? So there are a lot of issues regarding cross subsidization. And finally, do we have 24/7 electricity supply? Do we have 24/7 electricity supply in India? Absolutely no. Some of you are saying yes. No, we do not have it. We do not have it, my dear. We do not have it. 24/7, we do not have it. Only in large number of cities, right, which are very, very large cities, we have almost 24 hours. Right? I do agree. In large cities in India, we have almost 24 hours. But what about, right, smaller cities? What about villages? Right? So I hope you understand. Right? Do not look at only your city and come to a conclusion. But sir, I live in Delhi. Right? Throughout the year, I have almost 24 hours. Have you experienced a summer in many of the cities in India? Have you experienced a summer in villages in India? Don't you think you'll come across a concept of load shedding during summers in India? I hope you understand my point here. Right? Have you come across the term load shedding during summers in India, especially in smaller cities and villages? Right? 6 hours, no electricity. Right? 4 hours, no electricity. And in villages, even for 6 hours when electricity is available, it will not be two phase. It will be a single phase, where only bulbs will be used. Right? A fridge cannot be used. Right? Let's say engines cannot be used. Motors cannot be used, etc. etc. So I hope you understand. Right? Even today, we do not have 24/7, 365 electricity supply throughout India. Throughout India, it is not available. Okay. So that is basically the concern that has been raised regarding energy security. And please understand, there are repercussions. There are problems. There are problems with not having energy sufficient amount of electricity. Will it affect industrial output? Will it affect learning abilities of the children? Will it affect, right, let's say many other activities of the people? Of course, yes. There are a lot of repercussions regarding this. Okay, right. So this is basically a problem regarding energy security. So what reforms have been taken by the government? What steps have been undertaken by the government? First one, RDSS, Revamped Distribution Sector Scheme. RDSS, Revamped Distribution Sector Scheme. Now, what is this revamped distribution sector scheme? Please understand. Earlier, Government of India had launched a scheme by the name of Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana. Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana. Right? That is basically Uday scheme. Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana. In short, Uday scheme. And what was the concept of Uday scheme? Very simple logical understanding. Under Uday scheme, the DISCOMs which have incurred losses, they will be, right, compensated. The losses will be taken up by the state government. Very simple argument. The losses of the DISCOMs will be taken up by the state government. And for the state government to take over the losses of the DISCOM, the state governments were allowed to issue Uday bonds in the market. Uday bonds, collect money, issue bonds, collect money, use that money to absorb the losses incurred by the distribution companies. This scheme was actually implemented by the central government, but under the Uday scheme, targets were given. What kind of targets? The gap between ACS and ARR must be reduced to zero. All of you understand what is the importance of this? I'll repeat it again. The gap between ACS and ARR must be reduced to zero. And the AT&C losses, which are very high, should be reduced, should be brought down below 18%, below 17% like this. These targets were not met by the states. Right? They were not able to meet these targets. And that is the precise reason Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana, the time period is over now, and now they have implemented revamped distribution sector scheme. They have implemented revamped distribution sector scheme, RDSS. Now, what is the logic of RDSS? Please understand. Under RDSS, central government will provide assistance to the states. They will provide assistance. Even under Uday, if you become a part of Uday, they would provide assistance to you. So under RDSS, center will provide assistance to the states in order to address the issue in the distribution companies. Provided, please remember this, provided the state government will prepare a plan how to reduce AT&C and how to reduce the gap between ARR and ACS. Annual targets will have to be prepared by the state government. The targets will have to be submitted to the center. If you meet the targets, only then the amount will be given to you. Is the logic okay? If you meet the target, only then assistance will be provided to you by the central government. If you do not meet the targets that you only have set up, central government will not give you any kind of assistance. That is the importance of revamped distribution sector scheme. AT&C losses are to be reduced to 12 to 15% by 24 and 25. the gap between ACS and AR to be reduced to zero, improve the quality, reliability, affordability of power supply. It will be implemented till 25 and 26. And earlier schemes, there were multiple earlier schemes. For example, there was a scheme by the name of DDU-GJY, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana. This has been brought under RDSS now, right? IPDS Integrated Power Distribution Scheme. This also has been brought under RDSS. So you do not worry about these schemes. Remember, these are part of RDSS now. These are not separate schemes. So this is the first reform, RDSS. Second reform, PM Saubhagya Yojana. PM Saubhagya Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana. PM Saubhagya. Under PM Saubhagya, government will provide free electricity connection. I repeat, government will provide free electricity connection to identified households. The argument of Government of India was that many of the houses will not be able to afford the charges to get electricity connection. Is it okay? I'll repeat it again. Many of the houses will not be able to pay charges to get electricity connection. So Government of India said, under Pradhan Mantri Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana, we will identify the houses which require assistance and we will provide free electricity connection to such houses. And which is the agency, which is the nodal agency for implementation of PM Saubhagya? Rural Electrification Corporation. REC, Rural Electrification Corporation, is the agency for implementation of PM Saubhagya Yojana. Right? This is the second very important reform. Third very important reform, LED program. National LED program. Right? Under National LED program, we want to replace all the incandescent earlier bulbs with LED bulbs, light emitting diode, LED bulbs. All the earlier incandescent bulbs, I want to remove them and I want to put LED bulbs in place of incandescent bulbs. And for houses, for the implementation of LED program, Government of India has launched a program by the name of Ujala. Ujala stands for Unnat Jyoti by affordable LEDs for all. Ujala scheme. Under Ujala scheme, right, which is being implemented by an SPV, special purpose vehicle, by an SPV, right, ESL, Energy Efficiency Services Limited, we want to replace all the incandescent bulbs with LED bulbs. Right, that is basically the argument under Ujala or even national LED programs. And if you have seen very carefully, street lights now are, right, LED bulbs. LED bulbs are being used in offices. LED bulbs are being used in houses, etc. What is the argument now? Why? What is the need for LED bulbs? Government says LED bulbs will consume lesser electricity compared to the earlier incandescent bulb. Efficiency is much better, and because efficiency is much better, they will consume lesser electricity, give you more light, and the electricity bills will also come down. Right, electricity bills will also come down. In fact, there is an ecological angle also, emission related benefit is also there for using electricity bulbs, LED bulbs. Okay, so more than 36 crore LED bulbs so far have been distributed. Do not buy out the number, because by the time you write the exams next year, number will be different. Right, this is a national LED program. Now, apart from this, government is also promoting renewable energy in India. Government is basically Government of India set up a target of 175 gigawatts of renewable energy, that is solar, right, wind, thermal, not thermal, thermal is not renewable, solar, wind, hydro and bio. Right, these are the four components that are covered under the renewable energy. 175 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2022. We have not been able to achieve it. It is more than 100 gigawatts in India today. But by 2030, now Government of India says they want to have 500 gigawatts of renewable energy. That is the target which has been set up by Government of India as of now. Done? Right. So these are some of the very important right? These are some of the very important initiatives of Government of India, right, in order to promote power sector, renewable energy or electricity sector in India, right? And again, please understand this. Before I go forward, please remember this. Most of what I'm discussing under infrastructure is purely current affairs. I repeat, most of what I'm discussing under infrastructure is purely current affairs. You will not find these concepts in the book. Do not waste your time. And whatever is given in the book, as far as I'm concerned, most of it is not relevant for UPSC. For example, many of the books have given you how many national highways are there in India. What is the length of a national highway, which is right, a national highway running left to right, right to left, top to bottom, bottom to top, right, etc., etc. As far as I'm concerned, it is of no use for UPSC exam. Okay. Now, next, I want to discuss the concept of railways. Right, I want to discuss the concept of railways. In case of railways, please understand what are the important points. Point number one: Indian Railways is a departmental undertaking. Indian Railways is a departmental undertaking. What do you mean by departmental undertaking? Government of India has set up an authority, that is a ministry, to operate railways, to operate Indian Railways. And right, it is through this department that the government will implement all of its policies regarding Indian Railways. Until very recently, I repeat, until very recently, private sector was not allowed to operate railways in India. But today the fact is that government is allowing private sector even in the operation of railways. India has the fourth largest railway network in the world, fourth largest. In fact, some books will say fifth largest, some books will say fourth largest. The latest ranking is fourth largest. But again, as far as I'm concerned, do not by heart this number, because by the time you write the exam, ranking might have changed. Right, the largest railway networks in the world, the top three are China, Russia, and USA. Right, the top is USA, followed by Russia, followed by China. Then the fourth largest is basically the Indian Railways. Now there are two segments in Indian Railways. There are two segments. There are two parts of Indian Railways. One is called as a passenger segment. Second one is called as a freight segment. Passenger basically means customers, individuals such as you and me. Whereas a freight basically means any type of material or goods. Any type of material or goods. Now, before you people ask me, sir, why do we use the term freight? Why can't we directly use the term goods here? Please understand, can we transport, right? Imagine if I'm a manufacturer, can I transport this bottle using railways? Yes or no? I'm a manufacturer. I will manufacture a lot of these bottles. I will use railways to transport it. Of course, yes. Can we use right, railways for the transportation of coal? Think of it. Can we use railways to transport coal? Of course, yes. Coal is not a good, but I hope you understand. Coal is not a good, right? Coal is basically an input. It's a raw material. So that's the reason, right? We generally use the term freight in case of railways. We use the term freight. A freight transportation means transportation of a material, transportation of a goods, etc., etc. So there are two components in the railways. One is called as a passenger transportation. Second one is a freight transportation. Okay. Now again, right, many of you are adding to what I'm right explaining. Yes, sir. Right, rice is transported, sir. Sir, crude oil is transported, sir. This is transported. Of course, yes, I know that. But you should basically understand, why do we use the term freight? Why not directly use the term goods? Goods is a very narrow term. Freight means you can transport anything else apart, in addition to goods also. Okay. Now, what are the issues in railways? What are the problems in the railway sector? Point number one: proportion of freight transportation in railways is declining. What do you mean by this? Please listen to me very carefully now. We can transport, right? We can use different modes of transportation in India. The modes of transportation are: one, roadways can be used. All of you okay with this? We can transport using roadways. We can use waterways also. We'll discuss waterways tomorrow. Don't worry. We can use waterways also for transportation. We can use railways also for transportation. In fact, we can use even airways. That is basically the civil aviation market, right? So civil aviation market can also be used for transportation, but that is very costly, and the proportion is very, very negligible. So focus on railways, waterways, and roadways. If you look at how much of the goods we are transporting in India, how much freight we are transporting using roadways, waterways, and railways, most of it is done using roadways in India. I repeat, most of it is done using roadways. More than 50 to 60% is done through roadways. Somewhere around 30%, I repeat, somewhere around 30% is done through railways, and somewhere below 10% is done through waterways. I hope you understand. I'll repeat it again. Most of it, that is around 50 to 60% is done through roadways, around 30% is done through railways, and around 10%, less than 10% is done through waterways. But please remember this, out of all the three, the most efficient mode of transportation is waterways. I repeat, most efficient mode of transportation is waterways. Efficient in terms of what? Efficient in terms of emission. Efficient in terms of emissions. Emissions caused in waterways is the lowest. What the cost factor? The cost factor in case of waterways is 1/6 to 1/7 compared to other modes. That is the precise reason. Waterways mode of a transportation is actually preferred. But understand, in case of India, historically we have not developed waterways. We have waterways. I hope you understand. We have waterways. It's not that we don't have waterways, right? And if you ask me, sir, what do you mean by waterways? Very simple idea, right? In case of flow of the river, in case of flow of canal water, please tell me, can we use these waters to transport goods, to transport freight, to transport people? Simple argument, right? River is flowing. Can we use the flow of river water to transport people? Are some of you are saying no? Why, my dear? Why are you saying no? Right? Let me give you one current affairs example. Have you heard of MV Ganga Vilas? Let me see how many of you are reading newspapers now. This is where importance of current affairs comes into picture. Have you heard of MV Ganga Vilas? MV Ganga Vilas was basically a passenger boat, right? Tourism, very much related, very much important for current affairs for you people, right? It was basically a large ship which carried passengers. Cruise ships, they will use the term cruise ship, which carried passengers. So I hope you understand. Can we use canal water? Can we use river water flows to move goods, to move passengers, to move freight? Answer is yes. Answer is simply yes. Right? So argument is simple. Waterways is the most efficient in terms of cost, in terms of emissions. But in case of India, please remember, this is a problem. In case of India, most of the transportation is done through roadways. Now think of it. If you use roadways for most of the transportation of freight, costly, right? Don't you think it will be costly affair for us? Compared to waterways, is it not costly? Yes. What about emissions? Think of it. What about emissions? Emissions are also very, very high. Can I say this is a structural problem related to India's infrastructure and transportation? Think of it. Can I say this is a structural problem? Structurally, fundamentally, it's a wrong. It is a problem for us. And many of you are asking, sir, why is this happening? My dear, historically, we have not focused on waterways. That's it. Argument is very simple. Historically, we did not focus and develop waterways. China, for example, China, the length of water that they can use for transportation is more than 1 lakh kilometers. I repeat, in China, the length of navigable river waters is more than 1 lakh kilometers. In India, it is 1/5 of what actually China has. 1/5 or 1/6 of what actually China has. So I hope you understand the logic here. China has developed the waterways to a very great extent. We are promoting it now. I hope you understand. We are actually promoting it now. We'll discuss waterways tomorrow. So come back to the point that I'm trying to make here. We can use a different modes of transportation, right? Modal transportation. These are called as modals of transportation. But out of this, most of it is done through roadways. Historically speaking, it was actually done through railways, right? I'm pretty sure this should not be a surprise to you. At the time of independence, don't you think British government had developed a very good rail network for us? Yes or no? Before we got the independence, the British government, did they not develop a very good road network, rail network in India? Answer is yes, by the way. Right, so railways were used as a most important mode of a transportation earlier. Most of the freight transportation was actually done through railways. But over a period of time, roadways has got more percentage of the total freight transportation. For railways, it has actually declined. Now, what is the problem with this? What is the problem? Can I say, out of the total freight, if lesser is transported by railways, it will affect the revenue generation capacity for railways. Think of it. Will it not affect revenue generation capacity for railways? Of course, yes. And many of the years in the past, we have seen railways incurring losses. Railways running into losses. And one of the ways to address this issue is to increase the revenues for the railways. But now the question is, why? Why is that railways freight transportation has come down as a percentage and roadways of freight transportation has actually increased? These are the reasons. First one, today the roadways connectivity is much better compared to railway connectivity. All of you will agree with my point here? Today, if you compare how much is the railway connectivity with road connectivity, don't you think road connectivity for most part of India is much better compared to railway connectivity? That is one point. Second point, railway, there is only one operator, that is government. Whereas in case of roadways, can I say multiple private sector companies are competing with each other? All of you okay with this point? I'll repeat it again. In railways, only one operator, Government of India. Kind of a monopoly. Government only operating railways, monopoly. Whereas in case of roadways, can you see multiple companies, private sector companies competing to provide transportation services to you? That is better for us. As a customer, competition is always good for me. Third one, you want to transport goods using railways. You will have to go to railway station, deal with government officials. Now, please do let me know, do you think dealing with government officials to transport anything through railways, is it going to be a very easy thing for you? A cakewalk? You went into the government office, the government officials were waiting with a cup of tea for you, a chai for you, cup of chai. They will give you, they will only fill in all the form, right? They will do every work for you. Have you ever experienced that in a government office? But on the other side, private sector, let me know, private sector companies, will they not make it very easier for you to transport goods? For example, they will take care of most of the paperwork. They will ask you to just have a look into it. They will provide labor services. They will load the goods into, right, let's say they will only bring labor, load the goods into a truck. They will take it to a warehouse. They will unload the goods there. Right? Most of these services are provided by the private sector company. Whereas in case of railways, let me ask you a very simple question. How many of you have transported your vehicle through railways? Let me see. Let me see how many of you have actually experienced how easy it is to transport goods using railways. How many of you have transported the vehicle using railways? Anybody, Papa? Nobody is answering. Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so if you have transported, right, suddenly there was no reply, right? Everything went blank. So that's the reason. So if I'm audible, very good then. Let me continue. So if you have used railways to transport a product, a vehicle, etc., was it easy? Was it easy? Right? They will ask you to empty the fuel. They will ask you to get all the documents. They will ask you to get the original photocopy. Then they'll say photocopy is not clear. Get one more document, etc. So I hope you understand. I hope you understand. It's very difficult to deal with government officials. On the other side, private sector, it is very easy. These are some of the reasons why transportation through roadways has caught on, has increased compared to transportation using railways. And as a result of this, right, revenue generation capacity of the railways also has been hit. Second, passenger to freight ratio is also very lower in case of India. What do you mean by passenger to freight ratio? What is the charge that we impose for the transportation of a passenger as well as a freight? I'll repeat the statement. What is the tariff? What is the charge that we impose, right, to a passenger compared to a freight for transporting? And in case of India, the passenger to freight ratio is somewhere in the range of 0.2 to 0.3. 0.2 to 0.3, meaning what? For every 1 rupee that I charge for a freight transportation, I will charge only 20 paisa for a customer, for a passenger. Right? On the other side, for developed countries such as Korea, such as USA, Germany, China, etc., the passenger to freight ratio is more than 1 rupee. Right? More than 1, not rupee, more than 1. Is the logic okay? I'll repeat it again. Passenger to freight ratio in case of India is much below 1, 0.2 to 0.3. And in case of developed countries, the passenger to freight ratio is more than 1, which means they are charging more to a passenger compared to a freight transportation. Whereas in case of India, we are charging more on freight transportation compared to a passenger, which will also, let me know, which will also affect the revenue generation of railways. All of you okay with this? Which will also affect revenue generation capacity of the railways, and that has actually led to a lot of the times losses being incurred by the railways. Right? That is the second concern. Third concern, private sector participation in railways is very low. Historically, this has been correct. Private sector participation in railways has been very low. Why? The private sector says government has a monopoly. Government will formulate a policy, government will implement a policy, government will evaluate, government will finance, everything will be done by the government agency. Then what should I do? Right? Don't you think the relevance of the private sector in railways will be very less? That is the reason private sector participation has been historically very low in railways compared to other sector. If you have seen historically, even the railway stations were developed by the government. Railways were operated by the government. Anything related to services were undertaken by the government. But now government is actually changing the policy. It is allowing private sector to participate, allowing the private sector to participate. Okay, done. Next, high operating ratio. High operating ratio. Right, have a look at this. The expenditure that is incurred for generating revenue. What is high operating ratio, or what is operating ratio? It is the ratio of how much expenses you will incur to generate revenue. Now please think of it and let me know. Let me check how does your CSAT actually work. How does your mind think? If this is the ratio, how much expenditure you're incurring to generate revenue, if this is operating ratio, what would you prefer? A high operating ratio or a low operating ratio? Think of it. If the ratio is basically how much is your expenditure to generate revenue, what would you prefer? A high operating ratio or a low operating ratio? My dear, most of you are correct. Most of you are correct. Some of you are mistaken. You should prefer low operating ratio. Some of you are saying, sir, I would prefer a high operating ratio. What does it mean? Let me give a very simple example. Let me give you a very simple example. Imagine you are generating revenue of 100 rupee. In two cases, you are generating same amount of revenue, 100 rupee. Would you want to spend 98 rupees to generate 100 rupee, or would you want to spend 90 rupees to generate 100 rupee? Think of it. Please think of it. Would you want to spend 90 to generate 100, or would you want to spend 98 to generate 100? So what I'm talking is basically operating ratio. So don't you think this is a much better operating ratio compared to this? So in case of India, the operating ratio for railways is more than 98. In case of India, the operating ratio for railways is more than 98, which means, and historically, operating ratio has increased in India. In the last 10 years, it has become highest last year, more than 98, which means we are spending more and more money to generate revenue. We are spending more and more money to generate revenue, right? So, right, we will have to reduce even the operating ratio for railways. We'll have to reduce the operating ratio in railways. Done? These are some of the issues regarding railways. So what are the reforms? What kind of measures or reforms have been undertaken by the government? First one, bullet train project. All of you heard of this? Bullet train project. The first very important reform is a bullet train project. Now, what is this bullet train project? It's a new type of infrastructure project that has been proposed by the government with a joint venture with the Japanese government, which will be connecting two states in India or two industrial cities in India. These two are one Ahmedabad, second one is Mumbai. Right, the two cities, industrial cities, both are industrial cities which are going to be connected. One is Ahmedabad, right, from Gujarat, and second one is right, Mumbai from Maharashtra. And with operationalization, it is not yet operational. Please check, it is not yet operational. As per the original proposal, I repeat, as per the original proposal, it was supposed to start operating from 2023. It has not yet started. Why? Land acquisition is stuck up. In many cases, the projects have to be altered, right? In many cases, the project is yet to be completed, and that is a precise reason. Why there is a delay in the completion of the project. Delays in the completion of the project. Now, please understand what are the benefits. What are we trying to do? What are we trying to achieve using this kind of an initiative? First one, this will be introduction of new technology in railways. And technology, whenever you introduce new technology, that is always beneficial. For example, don't you think the semi-high speed railways, that is Vande Bharat Express, it is an introduction of new technology. Is it not benefiting customers in India? Is it not benefiting passengers in India? Of course, yes. So whenever you are going to introduce a new technology, it is to provide benefit to passengers. So introduction of technology is good. Second one, with introduction of this kind of a railway infrastructure project, the time taken for traveling between these two destinations will be reduced. As per government documents, right now, to travel between these two cities, that is Ahmedabad and Mumbai, it takes generally around 8 hours. With introduction of bullet train project, this will be cut short to around 2 hours. Again, please understand, these are all estimates. You'll have to wait and see actually how much it is going to take place after the project becomes operational. But at least as per the proposal, it will be reduced from 8 hours to 2 hours. So time taken for transportation will come down. Is it beneficial for passengers? Of course, yes. Now, please think of it. If time taken to travel between two cities will come down, don't you think people, rather than moving into cities, offices, rather than moving into these two cities, will move out of these two cities as well? I'll repeat it. Please think of it. Offices, rather than getting located within Mumbai, getting located in Ahmedabad, now because transportation becomes easier, will they not start moving out of right, these two cities? Will they not locate along the stretch wherever these stations are going to be developed? Answer is yes. Right? Answer is going to be yes. So time taken for commutation will come down. So congestion, demand for right industries, demand for office spaces, etc., will also start moving out of these right two industrial cities. Right? That will lead to reduction of migration into the cities. It can actually lead to reverse migration. People, workers might start moving out of these two populated cities into other regions as well. Decongest the road mode of transportation, because now it is much easier to transport or move using these types of a bullet train project. Okay, so these are some of the benefits. These are some of the benefits that we can expect from such project. Having said so, what are the concerns? What are the concerns? First one, this project alone, the project alone has a cost of more than 1 lakh crore rupees. I will repeat the statement. This project alone has a cost of more than 1 lakh crore rupees. 1 lakh crore rupees. So can you imagine? Can you imagine to what extent it is capital intensive? So understand this. The argument that has been put forward by many experts is, why are we spending so much amount of money on only one project? Why not use the money to improve safety across many other railway line projects? Yes or no? Please think of it. Again, this is a concern. It's a concern. You'll have to look at both the sides of the argument. Why are you spending so much amount of money only on one project? Rather than this, if you have the 1 lakh crore rupee, rather than spending here, why not use it to develop safety across many other railway line projects in India? For example, right, in the current affairs, I'm pretty sure you've come across this, the Balasore railway accident. Yes or no? The Balasore railway accident. So I hope you understand the argument here, right? Why not spend so much amount of money on only one project? Why not use it to develop safety, security across other railway lines? Second one, what will be the cost of the ticket? What will be the cost of the ticket? Because if you spend more than 1 lakh crore rupee, ticket prices will not be very cheap. If you keep ticket prices very cheap, you will not be able to recover the value of the investment. And moreover, think of this, moreover, you have taken a loan from Japanese government for the development of this project. You have taken a loan from Japanese government. You'll have to repay the loan. So if you keep the ticket prices very low, you will not recover your investment. If you keep the ticket prices very high, will it attract more customers? Many of the people, if I ask you, if you want to pay right this much amount of money and travel by a bullet train and pay additional 500 and fly in an aeroplane, most of you, I'm pretty sure most of you would choose flying in an aeroplane rather than traveling in a bullet train. Why? Your argument will be, sir, flying always feels premium. Yes or no? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Flying always feels premium to us, right? Sitting in aeroplane, right? Getting that feeling of right cruising at more than 30,000 feet, etc., etc. So argument is, if you keep the ticket prices very low, you'll not be able to recollect your investment. If you keep the ticket prices very high, people will start shifting to other modes of transportation. Many people will simply say, right, I will go by road only. Right, I'll go by road. I'll take another train. All right, or some people will simply say, let me fly rather than taking a train. So all of these will have a repercussion. Right, now the question is, what will be the ticket prices then? Third one is land acquisition as usual. Land acquisition, this project has been delayed. One of the primary reason is right delays in land acquisition itself. Right, so all of you okay with this? All of you okay with right the critical evaluation of bullet train project? Next one, merger with union budget. Right, but flight takes too much time due to out from city. Of course, yes. Flight, yes, it will take time, but I'm talking about premium feeling. I'm talking about premium feeling that you will get right by traveling in a flight compared to sitting in a bullet train. Some people will say, sir, but it takes a lot of time. Of course, yes. But that premium feeling, you will not get it right, in a bullet train or a train that you get by traveling in a flight. Okay, done. So merger with union budget. Second important reform is merger with union budget. Now, earlier, railway budget was announced separately, right? Union budget was announced separately. I've told you about this already. Government of India starting 16 and 17 has a discontinued separate railway budget. And the government argued that there is no need to have a separate railway budget because finance ministry deals with finances for all the other infrastructure project. So when one ministry is dealing with all other infrastructure project, it makes more sense to give railway project also to be financed under Ministry of Finance only. So having one ministry is better. Second, it is not a constitutional requirement. Having a separate railway budget is not a constitutional mandate. There is no provision in the constitution for this. So why do we need to basically continue what Britishers did? Third, size of the railway budget. Size of the railway budget is also very small compared to overall union budget. So why to make it a fanfare? Why to simply announce a separate railway budget? And many of the times in case of railway budgets, there is no thinking regarding economics of railways. Rather, most of the times populism overtakes economics. That is, railway ministers will announce projects just to pacify the people. That, for example, please do let me know. Earlier, not today, earlier, whoever was the railway minister, did we not talk what has the railway minister done for respective state from where they come from? Think of it. Right, earlier, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whoever was the railway minister, the first thing that anybody discussed in the railway budget was what has the railway minister done for West Bengal, because the railway minister comes from the West Bengal. What has the railway minister done for Bihar, because the railway minister comes from Bihar. What has the railway minister done from Karnataka, because the railway minister comes from Karnataka. Rather than discussing whether these projects are economically beneficial, will the projects generate sufficient revenue for the ministry, the argument was whether, right, this has been done for this state, that state, etc., etc. So cost to benefit analysis took a back seat, populism took a front seat. So rather than doing all of this, government now says we will merge it with union budget. Okay. Next, in order to increase safety, right, government has implemented a Setu Bharatam project. What is Setu Bharatam project? All of you heard of railway crossings? Let me know. All of you have heard of railway crossings. Sir, what do you mean by railway crossings? Imagine this is a road and this is railway. That's it. This is a railway line. This is a road. So road as well as railway line physically will cross each other. This is called as a railway crossing. And why this is a problem? Have you come across accidents that will happen at railway crossings? Think of it. Have you come across news articles where at railway crossings accidents will keep on happening? A truck was passing by, railway will come and hit it. A school bus was passing by, railways will simply crush it. Railway crossings are basically dangerous. And what government of India has done? Under Setu Bharatam initiative, under Setu Bharatam project, these railway crossings will be eliminated. Physical crossings will be eliminated. Now we are going to construct railway overhead bridges or railway under bridges, so that there is no crossings. There is no crossing physically like this. We are going to eliminate crossing. Whatever safety issues there, we are going to address it. In fact, again, not related to railways, but please tell me, have you read regarding the Mumbai-Delhi Expressway? Right? Have you read about Delhi-Mumbai Expressway? And if you have read, right, one of the points they have made sure in Delhi-Mumbai Expressway is that there are certain stretches of road which are very much ecologically sensitive. I repeat, in fact, this was pointed out by Mr. Nitin Gadkari, who is the Minister for Transportation. There are certain stretches which are very much ecologically sensitive. Means what? This is the expressway and, right, there are elephant crossings. There are, right, animal crossings, right? That is crossing, animal crossing means what? It is basically a road that is taken, a path that is generally taken by wildlife. This is generally taken, right? It is a path that is taken by the wildlife. And many of the times, if there are, right, crossings like this, there could be accidents. Vehicles which are moving at a very faster pace, they can hit, let's say, an elephant. They can hit, right, certain wildlife. They can hit the bears which are crossing by, etc. That is the reason. Have you come across this? In Delhi Mumbai expressways, at certain places, they have taken elevated route. Yes or no? Please read that. They have taken elevated routes and they have created underpasses for the animals to pass by without any interruption. This has been done in Delhi Mumbai expressways. So please read about it. Okay. So Setu Bharatam project has been one initiative that has been taken by the government to address safety issues in railways. Can I add one more here? Kavach. Have you heard of this? Right? Indian Railways Kavach system. That is also one more system that has been undertaken to address the safety issue, security issue in case of railways. Next, private sector operating trains. Last point for the day. Right? Private sector operating trains in India. What is the logic? Government of India says, I don't have to invest. I will not invest money. Private sector will invest money. Take a train on lease. Take a train on rental basis and operate these routes. Very simple idea. I'll repeat it again. I will not invest money to, right, manufacture a train, produce a train, nothing. I have identified one route, city A and city B. Now private sector will purchase a train, lease out a train and start operating between the city A and B. So please let me know, is Government of India investing here or is the private sector investing? Is the logic okay? Is the Government of India investing or the private sector is investing here? Right? Private sector is investing. So the burden of investment on the Government of India automatically will come down. Burden to invest, burden on the government to operate trains by spending money on trains will automatically come down. Point number 2, if private sector investing, obviously they are focused on profits. They want to earn more money, earn profit. That is the advantage for the private sector. Point number 3, if private sector will start operating trains, they will pay a certain amount of money to Government of India. All of you okay with this? It's not free of a cost. Private sector will pay a certain amount of revenue to Government of India. So look at the beauty of the system. Look at the beauty here. Government, without spending even a single rupee in this project, is generating money. Until now, government used to spend lot of money to operate trains. Now government says, I will not spend money. Private sector will spend money. They will operate the trains, but they will share part of revenue with me. So government, without spending money, is earning money through this model. And what is the benefit to the customer, such as you and me, passengers? What is the benefit to all of us? The benefit is very simple, right? Don't you think if private sector will start operating, quality of services will start improving? Yes or no? Quality of services, on time arrival, on time departure, right? Cleanliness in the coaches, etc. Quality of services will also improve, right? So we are also getting benefit. Government is getting benefit. Private sector is also getting benefit. So it's a win-win-win. Win for me, win for the government, win for the private sector. But there is a concern. What is a concern? Lot of routes. Government of India actually put out lot of routes where private sector can operate. Interest has not been shown by the private sector. Very few of the routes have been taken up. Why? Private sector says this is highly investment loaded for me. Investment should be very, very high for me. That is, I will have to invest a lot of money. But think of it historically, I have not participated in operating trains. In India, historically, private sector has not been allowed to participate. So don't you think there's a lack of experience for them? They don't know how much would be the actual ticket pricing. They don't know, right, what is the optimal, right, let's say timing that should be taken, etc., etc. That is the precise reason interest of the private sector is very less as of now, even today in the operations. That's the first one. Second concern is that if private sector will take over the operations and government says you can fix the ticket prices, the concern is that private sector might start charging higher ticket prices. That is a concern. The ticket prices, because it's a private sector company, it's not having any social welfare objective. It is not worried about subsidies. It is providing services to you. They will charge money. So there is also a concern that the ticket prices could be very higher or could be higher compared to what Government of India is charging. That is one more concern regarding private sector operation or operating these train routes in India. Done? Right? So these are certain very important reforms. Very important reform. Last concept, National Rail Plan 2030. Last concept, right? I thought the earlier was the last slide, but for railways, this is the last one. We'll discuss this, then we'll stop. The National Rail Plan 2030. Right? What is this National Rail Plan 2030? Government of India says, through the National Rail Plan, I want to improve the situation of Indian Railways. I want to improve the revenue generation capacity for Indian Railways. How? Point number one. The modal share of transportation for railways will be increased to 45% by 2030. The modal share, right? I hope you understand the term modal share. There are different modes of transportation. One of them is railways. So how much railways accounts for out of the total transportation in India? We want to increase it to 45%. In fact, please understand this. The plan was proposed in 2020. The plan was proposed in 2020. Plan was proposed in 2020. So in 2020, the Indian Railways accounted for 27% of total mode of transportation in India. Right? Now, Government of India says from 27, I want it to become 45% by 2030. A simple question to all of you. If railways will start accounting for 45% of total freight transportation in India, will its revenue position improve? Think of it. Can its revenue position improve? Of course, yes. Right? Revenues earned by the Indian Railways will automatically start increasing. That will provide certain stability for Indian Railways. Second, Indian Railways will become net zero emitter by 2030. This has become very famous now. Right? Indian Railways will become net zero emitter by 2030. Let me check. India will become net zero emitter as per the target of Government of India by when? Let me know. India will become a net zero emitter as per the target of Government of India by which year? My dear current affairs. Those who are reading current affairs, let me check. 2070. Many of you are sticking with 2047, 100 years of Indian independence. No, 2070, Glasgow Conference. Have you not read Glasgow Conference? Glasgow. Right, very recently it was there in the newspaper. Glasgow Conference, Government of India said by 2070 we will become net zero emitter. Net zero emitter basically means how much emission you are doing, you are absorbing the emissions. That's it. If you're emitting 1 ton of carbon dioxide, you're also absorbing 1 ton of carbon dioxide. That is net zero emitter, right? So railways wants to become net zero emitter by 2030. And if you ask me, sir, how is that possible? Is it possible that railways will consume more and more renewable energy? Think of it. Railways will consume more and more renewable energy. Railways will also generate renewable energy. For example, many of you will ask me, sir, how is that possible? Railways will generate renewable energy. Please check it now. Please check it. Whenever you go to railway station, in some of the railway stations, they are installing solar rooftop projects. Check it, right? Even if you don't have railway station nearby you, sir, I don't know when to go, etc. Check it in Google at least. Right? The railway stations at the top rooftops, in the rooftops of railway stations, they're installing solar panels now. What is the objective? By installing solar panels, they want to convert the sunlight into electricity. So there is a movement, right? In fact, a lot of reforms are being taken now. There is a movement towards becoming a net zero emitter, right, for the Indian Railways. Okay, next one, to create capacity ahead of the demand by 2030, right, which in turn will cater to the demand growth up to 2050. That is, we will create so much infrastructure in railways that infrastructure will be sufficient to take care of demand till 2050, right? That is the third point. And the fourth point is, for successful implementation of the proponents or the components under the National Rail Plan, we will take assistance of the private sector, we will take assistance of right, the state government, we will take the assistance of even public sector undertakings, right? So these are some of the very important provisions of National Rail Plan 2030. Done. So this is the discussion regarding railways. Next one is roads. We'll take it up tomorrow. Do not worry, we'll take it up tomorrow. Okay, right? So any doubts, any questions that you people have? Third point, we will create so much of infrastructure that infrastructure will be sufficient to address the rising demand till 2050. For example, imagine you have constructed lot of railway lines, you construct a lot of railway stations, so the demand till 2050 will keep on increasing, but the railway stations and railway lines you have constructed by 2030, that will be sufficient to take care of the demand till 2050. That's a basic meaning. Okay, can windmill on rooftop of train? My dear, you give a proposal to government. How do you propose a windmill on the rooftop of a running train? I don't know. You can give it to government. Okay. Sir, how much time taken by bullet train to travel from Ahmedabad to Mumbai? Again, it was just a proposal, 2 hours. It was just a proposal, 2 hours. I hope you understand. The train is not yet operational. I can only tell you what was the proposal. I cannot tell you what is the time taken as of now. Questions we'll discuss. Please don't worry. Don't worry. Right? I will not run away. Whatever questions are there, we'll discuss. You don't worry. Okay. Sir, you did not discuss that, this, etc. You read, no. If I discuss everything, what will you do? You also read something. You also put in certain efforts from your side. Okay. Okay. Can't the government provide VGF model in railways or private sector in initial stages? No, they are not providing it. Because please understand, government says there is sufficient demand. There is already sufficient demand. So I don't have to provide VGF. VGF will be coming into picture when there is a question about revenue capacity, financial viability. Government says there is sufficient capacity for demand, right? So they will be able to generate revenues. Okay. Did you teach planning? No, I have not yet taught planning. Tomorrow we'll start planning. Don't worry. Right? Tomorrow we'll discuss certain more concepts within infrastructure. We'll cover that. Then we'll discuss planning concept. Don't worry. Right? As far as I'm concerned, one of the most static portions for you is planning only. Right? I'll give you so many points regarding all the 12 5-year plans. Right? You will only say, sir, stop. Right? We don't require so many points. Right? Very static portion planning. I'll cover that. Don't worry. Okay. High salaries of railway employees is a major cause of less revenue for railways. No. Please understand. Right? You cannot say salaries right are very high in railways. It's a government. It's a government-owned ministry, or it's a part of the government. So anybody getting salary just like that, it is a part of the expenditure. Sir, one question from 2020 paper in which FDI is largely non-debt capital. My dear, FDI is non-debt capital, right? Debt capital means what? You tell me, what do you mean by debt? Debt means repayment. So if FDI will come into India, do you think it's a debt now? Debt for India? Please think of it. Do you think, right, FDI is a debt for India? Does FDI create a debt for India? No. Is it a borrowing? No. Whereas on the other side, ECB is also capital. ECB is also, right? Inflow of money for India, but can I say ECB will create a debt for India? So I hope you understand the difference. Okay. Sir, what all topics are left out? We are supposed to cover questions from industries, questions from investment models, right? Road infrastructure, waterways infrastructure, civil aviation infrastructure, then planning, then the last employment, inclusive growth, and IMF. Will be done by Friday. Okay, will be done by this Friday. By the way, this Friday is your last class for the morning batch. This Friday is your last economics class. Okay. Sir, why India not adopting model of Japan by regulating excellence? Are Baba, that you'll have to wait. You cannot suddenly become. You cannot suddenly start adopting the technology or the features that are used by many other countries. That cannot happen because the infrastructure that India has is much different compared to infrastructure that other countries have. Okay. In VGF, money will be given in the first only, or if private sector is not able to recover money. Government basically identifies projects where there is a lower revenue capacity generation, financial viability is a problem. Government will provide assistance only there. Okay. So the PM e-bus seva also involves the state government. How does that work in PP model? Again, that's what I said. Right now, government says for every route that is taken, for every 1 hour, certain amount of money has been kept aside. Basically, that will be paid to the company which is going to operate the buses. Okay. Okay, done then. So let me stop the discussion today here. Right, let me stop the discussion today here. Tomorrow we will start with the concept of other infrastructure, right? And apart from this, we'll also discuss questions. We'll finish infrastructure, we'll finish the questions tomorrow. Don't worry. Okay. After that, we can start with planning, and we will most probably cover half of the planning tomorrow. Okay, so that's it from my side. Take care. See you tomorrow sharp at 6 a.m. Have a good day.